Filmmaking is an audiovisual discipline, so whether we are analyzing a film or making our own, we will need learning materials that are not only from a textbook, but are also visual and auditory. Some people will say that if we want to be a filmmaker, we don't need to go to film school and we can learn everything from the internet and hands-on experience. Communities and websites like nofilmschool.com can support this idea, and we can even access materials from previous movies. Take, for instance, like the screenplay of Hannibal from a free database like IMSDB. However, because websites like these are free, the content is usually contributed by a volunteer. There may be little or no oversight in checking the sources, so these may not be the most credible way of gaining information. Resources from academic institutions is a way for students to gain trusted information. And even though there is probably great advice from other filmmakers on the internet that is free, when we are a student using resources paid by our school, we can be assured that those materials were from legitimate publishers and the authors not only have experience in the field, but their ideas have been organized, thorough, or refuted by editors through the rigorous publishing process. Whether or not we go to film school, we can still take film classes at a local community college and still be a film student. So, by using these reputable resources from publishers, film associations, and organizations, we are acting as a film student who is information competent. In this video, we'll briefly talk about how to find resources for film students at LBCC, partnered institutions like CSULB, resources in the local community, the Long Beach Public Library, and from film associations like the Academy of Motion Pictures of Arts and Sciences. Now, let's take a look at the Long Beach City College's LAC campus library. Let's just see what books on film we can find at this location. From looking at the catalog, we search with film as a subject, and we limit the search to the library at the LAC location and in the format of printed books. And we can see we have 350 results. We can see the first record, a book called Light and Film, has the call letter starting with TR. The Library of Congress classifies books with the call letters starting with TR to be in the subject of photography. The second and third records, books called American Silent Film and Film Encyclopedia, have the call numbers PN 1993, which, respectively, under the Library of Congress classification system, is the subject motion pictures. So, let's go to the PN stacks here at the library. After I found the Film Encyclopedia, I stumbled upon a book on Star Trek costumes, sets, and prop designs in the motion pictures section, PN 1993. So feel free to browse around, especially if you're stumped and need to find research topics. This here is a light and film book in the photography section in TR. Cinematography and screenwriting are also relevant subjects to look up. Now, let's say we're taking a film class that required thinking critically about a certain film, its influences, or maybe how it affected people at the time of its release. Now, let's consider Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Coppola was highly inspired by Murnau's Nosferatu, which many critics today claim to be a classic and highly influential film. That may be the case upon looking back, but maybe I want to research how people reacted to Nosferatu in the 1920s. Well, let's gather some basic knowledge about Nosferatu from imdb.com. And we can see that it was released in 1922. The New York Times was definitely one of the most popular periodicals in the world, so I'm feeling very confident that we'll find a review of Nosferatu. But it looks like they don't have anything for 1922. I looked at Wikipedia and read that it was released in America 7 years later in 1929. Now, I found the article released June 4th, 1929, and was surprised to see that the movie had pretty negative reviews, where the author said the backgrounds looked like cardboard cutouts, not scary, and puts you to sleep. Now, was this merely just the opinion of one person, or was there something about the culture of that era of when this film was released that could possibly lead people to think this way? If we wanted to do some research on that era, we can find that old review and look at the surrounding articles and advertisements and try to get an idea of what was going on at that time. Therefore, considering the movie in context of its time. Well, the article as presented online only says the date, but without reading the whole newspaper, we can find out the page and section by looking it up in the New York Times Index. The New York Times Index is a book that helps us find an article, and it is organized by date and subject. Now let's go to the catalog and type B8 reference in the keyword so the search engine will pull up results found in the reference section. The title will be the New York Times Index. Even though it's a book, we still have to select the format, journal, or magazine. As we can see from the record, we can find this index in the LAC reference collection under the call numbers AI, which is for indexes. We pull out the New York Times Index book of the correct year and month. Then we search the subject and look under Motion Pictures for Nosferatu. We find motion pictures, but instead we are redirected to look under Moving Pictures. We find the entry for Nosferatu, and we can confirm the article was in June 4th, 1929, and now we also discovered that we can find it on page 29, section 3. Since it takes up a lot of room in the library to store newspapers since 1929, we have microfilms that compact and consolidate sets of newspapers and is in the format that makes the content easier to preserve. Just open the drawer, find the correct film roll, and follow the instructions on how to load the roll and operate the machine. So, we found our review of Nosferatu, and we can see what other movies came out at that time, current events, and advertisements. All these things that show what was culturally popular in that era. And from further research in this style on whatever films we may study, we now know how to pull up original resources to help us think and write critically about films. As mentioned earlier, film is an audiovisual discipline, and sometimes watching a movie from beginning to end and reading about it may not be enough. While we read about a film being deconstructed, we might also have a look at photographic movie stills to understand what the author is trying to say. So, not only can we look at books that have pictures and diagrams, but our library has plenty of magazines too. Let's go back to the online catalog and type film as a keyword and change the format to journal or magazine. LBCC has access to 27 magazines from selected issues. Film and History, for example, is a journal that can be accessed online, which is a subscription our school pays for. This article didn't have any examples that needed photographic stills, so let's just browse the other magazine, Film Quarterly, at this library location. I pulled out an issue and opened it to an article about the movie The Dark Knight that especially talks about the many faces of the character villain, the Joker. Included in the article were many photographs that were important to understanding the article's content. Now, what if we wanted to learn more about the technical aspects of filmmaking, like seeing and reading about how equipment is used? A fellow colleague recommended that I check out an issue of American Cinematographer. However, LBCC at this moment does not carry it. Well, upon searching for it in the online catalog, the nearby university, CSULB, or Cal State Long Beach, carries selected issues. Not only is CSULB's library accessible to its current students, alumni, and other members of the community, they also allow selected local community colleges, and LBCC is included, to have access as well. In order to get a library card from CSULB, we go to the circulation desk and provide our name, address, phone number, email address, LBCC College Services card, a driver's license or ID card, and social security number. After they input our information in their system, we'll be ready to check out materials and have access to their databases. Now, let's look for American Cinematographer, which will be on the lower level. So I grabbed an issue that shows the behind-the-scenes photos of The Force Awakens. And just like it was important to look at advertisements in an old newspaper when we were researching Nosferatu, the advertisements shown in this magazine can give us an idea of what types of filming technology could have been popular around this time. CSULB also carries magazines on screenwriting too. And of course, CSULB also has their own section of film books in their stacks with a call number PN 1993, like where I found this older book on making 16mm films. To find motion picture scripts, go to PN 1997 stacks, and to find television scripts, go to the PN 1992 stacks. Also, CSULB has what is called special collections on the third floor. Film students might probably be interested in the MGM music collections, which includes several hundred music scores, including some original film scores, and the William Yates collection, which consists of television scripts, production manuals from various shows and Walt Disney productions. If we still can't find what we're looking for at LBCC and Cal State Long Beach's library, we can also try searching for books about film at our local Long Beach Public Library branch. You don't have to be a student to access this information, but I'm including the Long Beach Public Library because they have a lot of free resources for student filmmakers. On their homepage, we can search for materials in Encore, their search engine that combines their library catalog and databases of images and articles. In the search field, we can type film, or in this case, filmmaking, and at least 100 records will appear. We can also yield more results from entering other terms related to film, such as cinematography and screenwriting. Also, the main branch in downtown Long Beach has a section called The Studio that houses many filmmaking books with the PN 1993 to 1997 call numbers, as well as being a workplace for filmmakers with computers for film and photo editing. And another great resource paid by the Long Beach Public Library is their subscription to lynda.com. To access this service, we will have to enter our library card number and library card PIN when the request form appears. Lynda.com is a website that has many tutorials taught by professionals in their industries. For student filmmakers, lynda.com will have many classes on subjects such as cinematography, lighting techniques, storytelling, and camera operation, just to name a few. We can even read the biography of the instructor and see that they not only have experience in the field, but they have the certifications to teach a course on that particular subject. Now, if you want to look at original copies of production materials from movies, the Academy of Motion Pictures of Arts and Sciences has the Margaret Herrick Library in Los Angeles and is a great resource for filmmakers. The library is open to the public, but their special collections can only be viewed by appointment by professionals in the film industry, qualified researchers, or students. Before making a trip out to LA, you can search the records online and plan your visit. For example, you can look at advertising notes from Amistad, storyboards from Apollo 13, costume sketches from The Theory of Everything, title sequence sketches from 55 Days in Peking, continuity notes from Apocalypse Now. From reading a little bit about this, they probably made notes like this because film crews often shoot scenes out of sequence. So, these notes in particular include the timeline of the deterioration of the boats, and you can see how the production crews carefully pay attention to details. There's also set blueprints from Blade Runner and the spaceship plans from Star Wars. So, if you are a film student, you can get access to free resources at your school, local library, and film associations. Apart from academically studying films, you can also learn while you're watching films at your leisure. LBCC, Cal State Long Beach, and the library have DVDs you can rent. Watch a lot of critically acclaimed films or films you like and take notes. And as we explored earlier regarding film critiques and reviews, we learned that opinions about movies change over time, so make the movie you want to make while you hone your skills at school. Don't wait until you have expensive gear, because now you have a way to access free, credible knowledge about movies and movie making. You can even pick up your smartphone and start filming today.